Hey, I'm Rob Adler, and welcome to Understanding Upstate, the podcast dedicated to exploring what makes upstate New York such a unique place. Each week, my co-host Jim Search and I dive into a new upstate topic to better understand what's up upstate. And this week, we take a spin up to the 716 to pay a visit to the Colored Musicians Club and Jazz Museum. We're back in Buffalo, Jim. Pretty excited.
Hell yeah. B-Town, baby. The Buff.
It's like two Buff. I mean, we were outside of Buffalo last week, but, you know, in the Buffalo metro area.
Sure.
For another week. Feels good to be here. Feels
good. Shout out to Griselda Records.
There you go.
Buffalo kids, baby.
There you go. Hey, Jim, you know what else feels good? When our listeners subscribe, rate, and review the show. Oh, my God.
That feels great.
It does. It does. So, guys, help us out. Throw us a like and a subscribe. I don't know if you can like a show on Apple Podcasts, but you know what? Try. Just try.
You can give it 5 stars.
You certainly can. You certainly can. And if you write some nice words about the show, maybe you're, talking about your favorite episode. Maybe you learned something in the kazoo episode. I certainly did.
I learned a lot.
You can then suggest a new topic for us to talk about. Upstate New York isn't just all kazoos and speedies. As much as we would like it to be, there's other things to talk about. And you can help us choose a future episode if you throw us 5 stars, a review, and a suggestion in that review.
Yes, please do that.
Jim,
I'd love to hear it.
We were just talking off mic. No upstate update today, which is the first time in a while.
I mean, I got nothing on it.
I mean, I did see Jenny on tap at another bar in Brooklyn. I was surprised to see that's like a Brooklyn update of, a great upstate export.
Sure.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Nice to see it on tap.
Yeah, Jenny will get you right.
It's true.
If you let it. only if you let it, though.
It's true.
In other words, don't be a punk. Get fucked up, man.
There you go.
Get crunk.
I think that's on the can, right?
Yeah. It says get fucked up, get crunk. Jenny cans. Jenny cream ale.
There you go. Well, on that note, Jim, should we talk about the Colored Musicians Club and now Jazz Museum in Buffalo?
I think we should. This is quite a unique little gem in Buffalo, right?
I think we've talked about it just in passing. I think probably on the Fusion Jazz episode. I think it came up just briefly. And maybe even in the Rick James episode. Or maybe that's where we learned about it in research. We've definitely talked about it at least once or twice before, but today we're going to do a little a deep dive.
Today is the day that we get into it. Let's do it.
So let's talk about a little bit of the history of the club. Originally, there was only one Buffalo Musicians Union, the Local 43. This all-white local, which was part of the American Federation of Musicians, which we'll refer to as the AFM from here on out, refused to include African-American musicians. As a result, a separate union, Buffalo Local 533, was formed on February 3rd, 1917. Buffalo then became the 8th city in the United States since the 1896 founding of the American Federation of Musicians, with racially segregated musicians' local unions. And I actually found a dissertation from a SUNY Buffalo student kind of talking about the atmosphere of the time. This is by Lance Booz, and the dissertation was titled Raymond E. Jackson and Segregation in the American Federation of Musicians, 1900 to 1944. Despite the segregation and inequality that individual black musicians and their local union chapters were subjected to, it was nonetheless beneficial for African-American musicians to unionize rather than work outside the auspices of the AFM. Kenny argues that unionizing gave black musicians bargaining leverage when seeking regular engagements, as well as giving them at least some measure of job security taking away from the whites any possibility of labeling the black musicians as scabs, which, you know, if you're not in the union, that's the proper term, the popular term, which also conferred upon them a definite long-term moral and ethical advantage. In Chicago, Spivey argued black musicians gravitated toward unionization out of a desire to improve their situation. This motivation of economic self-protection protection reflects Robert Zeiger's conclusion that for many African Americans, union activism provided a means by which they could achieve and sustain a place in the new economy, although the turn-of-the-century mainstream labor movement was ambivalent at best about the prospects of organizing black workers. Unionism had only begun to spread to large numbers of musicians in the late 19th century, but was an integral part of the emerging sense of professionalism. Burton Peretti points out that during the early 20th century, black musicians were fusing African-American vernacular musical traditions with European instruments and techniques, which thereby created Black America's first substantial generation of music professionals. That's a fancy way of saying jazz was starting to be created. It's a very academic paper.
That is, that's kind of where my brain was going. It's like, oh, you mean jazz?
Yeah.
Got it.
There we go. For many black musicians, unionism represented a step toward a respectable professional career during an era in which black professionalism was an important facet of the quest for racial equality and socioeconomic improvement. This was the atmosphere in which Buffalo's Local 533 was chartered in 1917. Ralph Watkins, drawing on an interview with Raymond Jackson, discusses the relationship of labor and music among blacks in Buffalo at the time. The most significant black involvement in organized labor was carried out by black musicians and predated the 1920s. Excluded from the local symphony and kept out of the area's large orchestras, blacks found work playing at private parties, dance halls, and saloons just before the start of the decade. The all-white musicians Local 43 began to pressure the various owners of dance halls to exclude non-union musicians from working for them. Black musicians responded first by attempting to join Local 43, refused. They then applied for a separate charter. So it was this bullshit, I don't even want to say sneaky way, but this, easy way for the white union to just say, oh,
right.
No, they're not in the union. You should only hire union musicians.
And then, and by the way, we're also not going to let black folks in, and then we just want to oppress them because they are probably better than we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hate to say that, Local 43.
Let's see. A year after Local 533 was formed, a close-knit group of people independent from the association but comprised of its members formed a social club where, according to the charter member and retired president of Local 533, Dr. Raymond E. Jackson, the musicians used to hang out after they finished their jobs at night. You could get a trotter, a plate of pork, a pig foot, a plate of beans, and a bottle of beer for 25 cents. On Sundays, musicians would utilize the club for band rehearsals, taking advantage of the free space and the piano it provided. Pretty cool.
Huh.
There you go.
25 cents for a plate. Now, obviously, adjust for inflation, but still, not a bad price.
Not bad at all. Let's see. So now we're jumping. That was all from that dissertation, jumping out of that. But again, that kind of, better illustrates like the bullshit those black musicians had to deal with when trying to work in Buffalo before the union, or before the 533 rather. Let's see. Before the Colored Musicians Club found its permanent home at 145 Broadway in 1934, it was housed in other locations. These residences included the Union headquarters on Michigan Avenue, then 96 Clinton at the corner of Oak Street, and the Masonic Temple. We love a Masonic Temple here on the.
Sure. Yeah. And also minus Broadway, and that all those streets are in Binghamton.
Okay, sure.
Oh,
Sure.
sorry, Michigan Ave's not, but Clinton, Oak. Yep,
All right. All right.
just saying.
I like it. I like it. When the Colored Musicians Club moved into the property at 145 Broadway, it was merely a vacant storefront. The actual building had been constructed between 1880 and 1900, and it initially housed the shop of boot and shoe manufacturer Charles Ziffel, then Michael McNamara's cigar and tobacco stand, a billiards parlor, several union locals, and the Niagara China and Equipment Company.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have a place to call their own.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to talk to you a little bit further about the College Musicians Club and where we went from there. The Colored Musicians Club received its charter and became incorporated May 14th, 1935. At this point, the club utilized the space upstairs for practice, rehearsals, and performances, while downstairs the union would hold its meetings, plural. This club, which was a separate entity from Local 533, gave the members a sense of community outside their professional and family environments. Its purpose was stated as follows in its certificate and consequently in its constitution. And this is an excerpt from that. To foster the principles of unity and cooperation among the colored musicians of Erie County, New York, to develop and promote the civic, social, recreational, and physical well-being of its members, to improve and enhance the professional economic status of its members, to stimulate its members to greater musical expression, to encourage and develop a fuller appreciation of music on the part of its members and the public, and generally to unite its members in the bonds of friendship, good fellowship, and mutual understandings, and to also get away from their wives and families.
There you go.
Let's not forget that. Hey, am I right? Come on. Later, in the 1950s, more and more jazz bands were becoming racially integrated. This racial integration showed a positive step in terms of race relations in the country. But the initial results of the desegregation were not always positive for African American locals because they had less power in terms of size and influence than their white counterparts. See? Integration ruining everything. That's what I say. Kidding. In 1964, a pretty significant year, the American Federation of Music's president, Herbert Kennan, told the separate locals that the Federation had to desegregate or be in violation of the Civil Rights Act. We saw that coming, scheduled to take effect July 1st, 1965. As reported in the International Musician, Local 43 and 533 Buffalo, New York merged effective January 1st, 1969, and the merged local would be known as the Buffalo Musicians Association, Local 92, AF of M. This new merged local showed preference for the white musicians, surprise, and in many cases put African American musicians out of work. We saw it coming.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it coming. I had a feeling this is where we would land. Fortunately, the Colored Musicians Club, having purchased the property at 145 Broadway and being a separate body from the local, was able to remain intact. Great. In many other cities, African American locals lost their real estate license after mergers and were then overpowered by larger, more powerful white locals. This one distinction, the separateness of the club from the local, preserved the Colored Musicians Club and continued to allow African American musicians to have a place that they could call their own in Buffalo. Jumping forward to 1979, the club was granted historic landmark status. Awesome. In 1999, the club was designated as a historical preservation site. Today, the Colored Musicians Club is the only remaining African-American club in the entire United States, and as such, it actively encourages historical research and preservation of the history of jazz in Buffalo. Who knew? Right? Who knew? Well, folks, we're going to share with you a couple stories from the club. The existence of the club provided Buffalo with an attractive, static location where many of the jazz greats could stop in and show their chops. There's a couple of badass motherfuckers who pass through here, by the way. We're going to get into it in a little bit. This enabled interaction of Buffalo residents with prominent and prestigious African-American musicians, which, in turn, provided hope for many that the goals of economic betterment and social acceptance weren't out of reach. One member, Boyd Lee Dunlop, who joined the club in 1945, fondly recounts one of the most memorable nights at the club. It was 1953. I got to the club at 4:30 and played a set with Elvin Shepard, Otis Sutton, Frankie Dunlop, and Skinny Bergen. After our jam, I stayed out a little, and who would show up? Billie Holiday showed up and wanted to sing. I didn't know who it was at first, but as soon as she started to sing, I was like, oh my, I'm playing for Miss Holiday. As soon as we finished, I called my mother from a payphone inside. I told her who I was playing for, but she didn't believe me right away. So I put Billie on the phone. That's like, all right, folks, to give you like context, right? That's like if Rihanna popped up, right? And not that Billie Holiday. It's to give you the touch point of how fucking amazing this would be for you youngsters right now. She was so excited. Afterwards, Billie invited me to go out with her, but I declined. I was never into drinking or drug use. You want to go get fucked up with Billie Holiday? Come on, dog. Just have a drink and then pour the rest on the floor.
Yeah.
I was 16 then and going to school. All right, that's fine. I suppose you're a little kid. I met her in New York City about 30 years later while she was playing organ at the Teresa Hotel. She asked me if I wanted to hang out now, and I declined again. Again?
Come on.
Dog, man. Destiny doesn't knock twice, man. I still wasn't into drinking and that, but I was touched that she remembered me. Yo, she wanted to fuck, dude. What are you doing here?
You could go get a cup of coffee. Come on.
Listen, I know that you were 16 at the time she hit on you, and that probably felt a little awkward, but come on, dog. Not all right. You get it. Well, another member and Hall of Famer, Art Anderson, whose big band rehearses on Wednesdays, recalled the past excitement surrounding the club. When I first came down here about 1944, sessions started about 2:30 in the afternoon and went till 10 or 11 at night. That's a lot of jamming. Our president, Perry Gray, used to entice the artists coming into town to come up here and perform on Sundays before the jam sessions. I saw Nat King Cole. That's pretty dope. Mary Lou Williams. We used to have a line that went down the stairs and went all the way around the block to get in here. Yeah, man, this is fun. And this is all in Buffalo. Like,
yeah,
this is pretty nuts. Many members of the club speak fondly not only of the interactions with world-acclaimed musicians, but also of contact with some of Buffalo's treasures. One such treasure was pianist Al Tinney, who touched the lives of many at the club. Al once said, "There was never a place like the Musicians Club when I was in New York, to play and socialize. What you called a jam session was all great players. They came out to cut each other. I can do this better than you. The club was like a workshop. The more you play with better people, the better you get." Fair point. I figure one day they'll grow up and become better, and I've seen them in the minor leagues. And one day they'll be in the major leagues. I go as a supporter of this thing because I'm in it. We're all in it together. There's a nice camaraderie up here.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. We're like this pianist Al Tinney was kind of speaking to it, but like the New York scene, you had uptown clubs and downtown clubs. Usually, same musicians. They're playing for white audiences in the downtown clubs earlier on, dinner hour. Then they go uptown to like Minton's and whatnot, and play better music, and primarily for black audiences. But I think those crowds could be a little bit more mixed too sometimes. But they were fucking mean to each other. It was like it was pretty brutal. Like if you didn't have your shit together, you would get kicked off stage. Like you're showing up to
Hey,
fucking show off. Cause it's after work. It's the music's a little bit more. It's not so not for such a buttoned up crowd, right?
right?
So it's more, and this is like bebop era, and like the music itself is like faster paced and more a little bit more virtuosic is the word I'm trying to think of. So the fact that in Buffalo, where you would think it might even be even more competitive, and that there's less turf, there's less clubs, there's
Right.
like you're scrounging for gigs even more probably. That instead of being even more cutthroat, they're switching the other way and having like more community and
Building a
socializing.
scene.
Yeah, that's great. That's a rare thing, I think.
Right. Especially in the music business, man.
Yeah.
It's not music friends,
No,
it's music business.
that's true.
Longtime member and Hall of Famer Charles Reddy remembers one of his highest moments as an invitation by Al Tinney to play a tribute to Charlie Parker at the University of Buffalo. This invitation from Al came accompanied with the compliment that Charles Reddy had a sound close to that of Parker himself, which is why he was being selected for the gig. Such fellowship and kind supportive words seemed like a signature created by the Buffalo Club. That's pretty fucking dope. Now, we're going to move on to our next section, Colorblind, their words, not mine. Jazz was always about more than just a syncopated noise or classy, timeless entertainment. It was a movement about hope and the ability of men to work together to create something beautiful. It was about listening to what each other had to say in a musical sense and the human capacity to hear each other in more complex ways. As the current club president, George Scott, explained, music has typically been in the black culture a way of communication and a vehicle for change. Jazz is a free expression. And as Boyd Lee Dunlop has simply stated, jazz is about listening. At 145 Broadway, it didn't matter what color you were, as long as you had the chops. When asked about the club's effect on race relations in Buffalo, the following was said. A bunch of us, we would come out of church, hang out from about 4:30, 10:30. It was packed. People would come down from Canada and up from Pennsylvania. That's a long way for back then. This club brought races together. Everyone played, and we didn't see ethnicity. It was a joining thing. Everybody loved everybody. And those are the words of Boyd Lee Dunlop. We have a couple other quotes from some of the OGs. One thing about music, people don't look at color. Jazz was an activist movement. Whites and blacks in the same room having fun. That was George Scott. The club helped the community by bringing people together who wouldn't normally be together. Something I've noticed about musicians, very little elements of racism. The Moonglow was the elite club which brought the big bands into Buffalo, but the club was a melting pot, a venue for a lot of guys to come up and learn. And that is from Charles Reddy. The affirmation that the club provided a platform for progressive improvements in race relations came from almost every mouth in the house. The concepts of unity and cooperation gracefully exist in the very fabric of jazz, such that peaceful, constructive relations are implied in its very nature. I don't think you get better than that as far as an explanation goes. Those are some smooth words, and it's the words that you don't hear, not the words you heard.
There you go.
Like jazz. Now, Rob, you've got some articles as you often do with your diligent research, and we love to see it here at Understanding Upstate. What do you have for us?
I thought this was going to be a little bit easier to pull some articles about, and certainly I found like a bunch of like upcoming concerts or like brief, like not even reviews, like this concert happened last night, people showed up, it was great,
Right.
kind of articles. But I tried to find some that kind of just spoke more to how the Colored Musicians Club was, just was and is a community hub, and what that's looked like, and primarily just found two. And this first one is from the Courier Express, July 18th, 1982. Paraphrasing a little bit because the whole first half of the article kind of just goes through everything we went through. Just talks a lot about how the club came to be, and
right.
originally having the segregated unions and everything. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. Again from 1982. Let's see here. So a grant proposal now being reviewed by the New York State Division of Housing and Community Renewal would place the club at the center of a program designed to preserve and make more formal the teaching and performing that has always gone on at the club. Under the plan, the club's location, which has been designated a historical site by the Buffalo Historical Society, would be expanded to include an auditorium and classroom-type facilities. The social club would remain, but the new center would offer music programs for larger audiences, along with seminars, lectures, and workshops where the technical elements of jazz could be taught and practiced, providing a place where young musicians could develop their skills by playing with their older counterparts has always been a distinguishing characteristic of the club. One person by the name of Leg said, anybody who's got the guts to get up there, they can do it, Lige said. But he added that the musical standards are not lowered to accommodate the inexperience. Some of our best players were told when they were younger to get off the stage and go home and practice.
God damn. Here we were talking about the community. Nope.
Which maybe was done more kindly than they were doing here in New York. Let's see. Les Davis is one of the club members who came up through the trial rejection acceptance process. The old guys were tough, said Davis, who's a biochemist between turns on the piano stool. Almost everybody around here has a story or two about how one of the old timers gave them a hard time. You'd come back looking for that same guy and tell him, I'm ready now. This is what makes the jazz club unique among local jazz spots, he said. This is the one spot in town that fosters the learning form of the art, Davis said. Also, the club is a place where jazz theorists can trade ideas and then put those concepts into music, he said. When you want to play all-out jazz, this is the place, Davis said. For Willie Dorsey, a music teacher in the Buffalo schools and the leader of the jazz research band, the club provides a musical laboratory he could not find elsewhere. Great word. His band uses the club room for rehearsals every Wednesday, and besides the practice, Dorsey gets a chance to hear his musical experiments to allow other arrangers to hear theirs. Let's see. Since the demand for large jazz bands is markedly down these days, he said it takes the dedication of the true jazz loyalist to keep the group going. They kind of largely just thrive in high school and college like jazz programs, and I would say the Midwest. A lot of big band jazz happening in the Midwest, particularly Wisconsin. Let's see. Sometimes I spend Wednesday afternoons on the phone to get the players there. But a few weeks ago, I suggested taking a week off, and they all started complaining. What? Miss rehearsal? What a bunch of assholes.
What? Right.
Persisting with his band of music despite the lack of commercial market is not a difficult path to take, Dorsey said. Speak for yourself, buddy. It's a matter of conscience, doing what you want to do. Jazz is here. It's not going anywhere. Rock can get boring to the mind, and the spirited players want to go on to a new level. Ivan Tabor found a home when he stumbled into the club. Tabor, in his early 20s, is a jazz saxophonist and a Hungarian refugee. After arriving in America a little more than a year ago, he traveled around the major cities, seeking to develop his skills in the homeland of jazz. Several months ago, he got off a bus in downtown Buffalo and asked a man he met in the street where he could find some jazz. He entered the club.
Oh, shit.
Sir, where can I find some jazz?
I'd love to find the jazz.
I was scared at first, Tabor said, but the music broke the language barriers. This is the only place where I felt good from the first time I came in. This is the best atmosphere in the U.S. This is Buffalo in 82. And this man was so taken by the jazz club to make that statement.
Well, I mean, you still have Rick James.
That's true.
Around, so
that's true.
Is he wrong?
No. I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't say. But let's just say he was right. After spending most of the next 2 days at the club, Tabor returned to Chicago to quit the job he held at the time and then came back to Buffalo, and he's been jamming at the club as much as he can ever since. He feels he is getting the type of experience he couldn't find in Europe or in any of the American cities he visited. You can find jam sessions in other places, he said, but here they take jazz seriously. It's a place where you can learn jazz by playing with better players. Michael Stelteri, a Lackawanna native who is now studying at a Long Island medical school, said he took a summer course in Buffalo partly because he knew he could return for jams at the club. When I'm studying anatomy, I drift off and think of being back here playing. And that's what you don't want your doctor to say.
Nah, man. Like, I fuck with jazz, but you know what I also fuck with?
Yeah.
A well-done surgery.
Yeah, I want the most boring fucking doctor who is into medicine and medicine alone.
Facts.
Maybe they can be into reading. There's something like... Don't be talking about how you're drifting off during your anatomy classes, dude. You should just be a musician. Anyway, he comes to the club because he knows he'll be able to sit in with top class players. Musicians know who's playing where, and they won't keep coming to a place where the players are weak. Quality aside, the patronage of the club may be suffering from the public's concept of the part of town where the club is located, he said. I don't always tell people I'm playing here because they think it's a bad part of town, said Stalteri, who brought a date with him. But that's silly. I've never had any trouble here, never had my car bothered. The continued existence of the Colored Musicians Club should be of importance to anyone concerned with the city's ethnic heritage, says Dr. Monroe Fordham, a history instructor at Buffalo State College, who's done research on the history of the club. The club has definitely played a significant role in the cultural history of Buffalo. You already said that, buddy. Social clubs have important parts of the local history. Social clubs have important parts of the local history of most of Buffalo's ethnic groups, but the financial basis for most of these clubs, including the Colored Musicians Club, tends to erode as times change and ethnic groups migrate, he said. There's no money behind most of these clubs, but they're very, very important. They continually enrich the city. If some formula could be found to ensure the continued existence of the culturally important aspects of the Colored Musicians Club, he said, that might serve as a model for the preservation of similar institutions. Unless something dramatic happens, many of these cultural landmarks may go by the wayside.
And we don't want that.
No.
We're not trying to have that.
Well, let's jump to 1985. Actually, again, once my kind of usual archive source really didn't pull much besides just some advertisements and stuff, I found one where Rick James was mentioned, which was nice.
Great. Perfect.
Just like he didn't play there, as far as I can tell. I mean, maybe he did, but he was in the atmosphere. Is kind of was the sentiment.
Sure. You love to hear it.
It was great. Let's see. So this is from the New York Times. So again, like I couldn't find much from the New York State newspaper archive. So I jumped into the Times just because this is sometimes when you have something that's like a cultural institution like this, they probably wrote about it at some point in the New York Times. And in fact, they did. 1985, August 7th. Past is swinging at Club for Colored Musicians. Buffalo. On Buffalo's Broadway, where the city crumbles into a patchwork of empty lots and boarded-up buildings, an orange neon sign glows, "Musicians!" from the second-story window of a solitary two-story brick building. For 52 years, from 1917 to 1969, this was the home of the local union for black musicians, Local 533 of the American Federation of Musicians. Today, it is a last link to a segregated music industry, a place where black and white musicians now come to practice or just to jam, to talk about music and who played with Dizzy Gillespie's band or Billie Eckstine. And though the charter on the wall says Colored Musicians Club of Buffalo, it is a club for jazz lovers of every color. While the local was known as the Black Musicians Union, it always had a handful of white players as well. What keeps the club alive, in addition to the jazz that floats from the upstairs windows, are its memories. And that's kind of where we're getting into, again, some speaking to community.
Sure.
Anyone could sit in. This place was packed every weekend in those days, said Willie J. Dorsey, who we already heard from in the last article. A bass trombonist who leads the Last Word Jazz Researchers. It's a weird band name. The Jazz Researchers. The big band that usually practices here Wednesday nights. Early on, he said this was an after-hours joint. They had people lined up in the stairways. There were jam sessions that went from 2 in the afternoon till they got tired of playing. During the jam sessions after hours, anyone could sit in. It was where a lot of black musicians got their start. It was a teaching ground, added Leslie R. Davis Jr., a part-time pianist and full-time biochemist. Man, they really are just pulling from the same people for this article.
Right. I was just about to say that.
Let's see. We like to think it still is. Both Mr. Davis and Mr. Dorsey, who say they are in their 50s. How will you just believe them? That's such a weird way to write that.
Allegedly in their 50s.
Could not verify. Joined the Black Musicians Union when they were youngsters. I've been coming here since I was 12, Mr. Davis said. I joined the union then. My uncle and cousins were in the club. In those days, and until 1969, Local 533 had jurisdiction over every black band that came through Buffalo. Each group had to pay a fee to the union to play in town, and the list of stars who came through reads like a who's who of jazz. Count Basie, Cab Calloway, Nat King Cole, Duke Ellington, Lionel Hampton, and Coleman Hawkins. They all played here, and they all came through the Colored Musicians Club.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah. And that's a real abridged list, too. Like, it's... I think even more. All right, continuing on. An empty Union Hall. Downstairs in back is the old Union Hall, a cavernous room that is empty now, save for a few scattered chairs and an ancient black safe, its heavy door ajar. In 1969, the National Board of the American Federation of Musicians ordered Buffalo's black and white musicians unions to merge. And while the unions came together in Local 92, a new integrated local, which now has its offices elsewhere, the Colored Musicians Club endured for band practices and jam sessions. Similar mergers of musicians' unions were ordered across the country, but in most cases, the black union gave up its building, according to James R. Legge, the club's president, who we heard from in the last article, too. The old Union Hall is now largely unused, except when the club holds its annual Easter Ball, a day-long jazz affair. But upstairs, the club remains.
Ooh.
Yeah, coming up. The club remains a busy place. A sign on the wall reads, weekly rehearsal schedule. What you sign up for is what you have. I like it.
You're gonna get what you get.
Yeah. Carol McLaughlin, a saxophonist who leads a quartet at Frank and Teresa's Anchor Bar on the weekends, a restaurant famous for its Italian food and hot chicken wings. I was going to say, Anchor Bar sounds familiar.
Yeah, that is the birthplace of the
of the buffalo wing.
That's right.
There we go. Burying the lead, New York Times. Can't confirm if these guys are 50, and we're not going to mention the birthplace of the buffalo wing. What are we doing? Anyway, let's see. Known for decades as one of Buffalo's jazz spots, came by looking for a hard-to-find score for a jazz song. This is one of the first places I come when I get here, Mr. McLaughlin said before drifting off to see Mr. Dorsey about the score for the song. Mr. McLaughlin represents the changing character of the club. As a number of original members of Local 533 dwindles and new younger players join, the club is gradually changing its character, losing its identity with the old union. For years, the only members of the club were members of the union, said Mr. Legge, an electrical engineer who can play just about anything brass and who used to play French horn with the symphony orchestra here. When the merger came, we had to open the club. We've never changed the name out of deference to history, but there's never been a color line even before the merger. We always did have whites in the union. He said he joined the union in 1944 at the age of 16. It was the natural thing to do, he said. My whole family was musical. Upstairs, there's a tale that is told and savored time and again. For Mr. Legge, it was a day to remember in the late 1940s. It was a Sunday, and there was music all day long, and Nat Cole was on the bandstand, he recalled. Whenever he was in town, he always played here. I got to jam with him that day. I played a couple of times, and then I had to get up to leave. Nat turned to me and said, "Where are you going?"
Shit.
That's kind of awesome.
The fuck you think you're going?
Yeah. And it sounds like he did leave. You sit your ass back down. There's no cell phones or pagers. No one can find you.
No.
He said, I'll never forget that. To this day, Mr. Legge said he cannot remember what tunes he played that afternoon, but he added, I remember it was an A flat for some crazy reason. The club's roots in Local 533 are often recalled along its wooden bar. I'd say of the Local 533 members, roughly a dozen in the club, said Mr. Legge, living, I'd say not more than 24. Few of us left.
Oh.
I mean, it's just celebrated its 108th birthday.
Right.
So, and that was that was in 85. So not surprising even then that there weren't a lot of the original members around.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, but as time works, right?
That's true. But let's look to the future. In the present a little bit, because it is still around. They did just celebrate their 108th birthday. I even saw a video of Spyro Gyra performing there.
That?
A band we talked about a little bit in the Fusion Jazz episode.
Yep.
So let's take a look. So the Buffalo Colored Musicians Club has added valuable cultural depth to the city of Buffalo and has greatly enriched the lives of musicians and the members who have participated throughout its existence. This includes many members of Buffalo's African American community. This place is somewhere we started and it just built up. It is somewhere to call your own. It represents black people, Dunlop's remarked. Historically, Buffalo was a convenient pipeline between New York City and the west, south, and even north into Canada, explained Scott. It was an intricate area which held a lot of jobs and entertainment. So how do we explain the miracle which has kept the club alive? Buffalo has a lot of pure jazz lovers. It is a music town, Scott hypothesized. Not only music, but any kind of arts. We can only hope that the great legacy left by this club will carry on into the future and that it will be around for upcoming generations to visit, both in the names of education and an old-fashioned good time. Hell yeah.
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 Fuck yeah. I mean...
What am I saying? Booyah! That's what I should be saying.
There it is.
There you go.
That's what we needed.
Mm-hmm.
What a crown jewel, man.
Yeah.
What a fucking crown jewel. If you're up in the 716, head over there and support them, man. Give them all your money.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Go catch a show. Go sit in. Jim, have you ever sat in on a jam session before?
I haven't.
It's
Never
fun.
once.
It's fun. I did it a few times back in my more musical days. And
Your more musically inclined days.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is to say the days in which I practiced. I used to do that.
Right.
It's fun. It's great having a space where you can do that and just kind of hang out and I'm not adding anything new, but yeah, just work shit out, practice, get used to playing with other people. It's
sure.
It's huge, and it's cool that they're still doing it today. And we didn't talk too much about the museum aspect of it, but it's. I'm glad that this place can continue on, not just as a venue, but also to be able to share the story of this place a little bit too, with the community and people coming in from even Hungary, right?
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
I got to look that guy up. I want to see what he's up to these days. Jim.
Yes.
We got to see what our Speedy Freaks and Rattlesnake Pete's are up to today, though. And by that, I mean subscribing, rating, and reviewing this show. That's what they should be doing.
Right.
So, guys, help us out. Share this episode with a friend. Give us a 5-star rating. Throw us a positive review. Share a topic for us to cover on an upcoming episode, as long as it pertains to upstate New York. If it's about Ohio, I'm sorry, we're not talking about it. We're not.
We're not doing it. We won't do it.
We won't. That's a guarantee. That's a promise.
Refuse. Skip it and move on.
Well, we need to skip and move on to what's some things that you might suggest our listeners check out in the next week, Jim.
Oh, man. All right. Listen, check this out. Let's say you just finished a jazz jam session, right? You crushed it. You brought it on the saxophone. You got carried out on everybody's shoulders on your way out of the club, and now you're about to go smoke a joint. Right?
Sure.
It's jazz.
I believe the term is jazz cigarette, Jim.
You're smoking a marijuana jazz cigarette, and you're gonna go be a real badass. Well, I got something to help you out with that to accompany another gem, right? Another upstate gem. And it's my album, Upstate Understandings, a fucking gem. Just celebrated its 2-year anniversary.
Oh, that's right.
April 9th, that just passed. That album has turned 2 years old. Very excited about that. So go pick it up. Go buy a copy of it. There are, I think, 4 vinyl left. After that it goes to the wind, man. It belongs to whoever has it. Of course, produced by Rob Adler, album art by Adam Russell, video work done by Matt Ely. A lot of great people helped make that possible. And you can be a great person too when you buy that album. Go to jimsearch.bandcamp.com and run it up. It's also available on all digital streaming platforms. But if you want the real deal Holyfield, get over to jimsearch.bandcamp.com. Jimsearchcomedy.com is another good place to look up my shit. I think I got a couple shows coming up here in the New York City area. And I think I'm actually going to be on the road next month. I'll be upstate the end of May. Yes. So more details for that as it comes. Rob, they have purchased everything they possibly can from me. They bought all the vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
They bought it all. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Some came over and they said, let me just give them out like turkeys, like Nino Brown giving out turkeys. They just wanted to give out all the copies of the vinyl. So I'm out, but they still have money. What on earth could they do with that money, Rob? What could they do?
Let's just say it's 1982 and you've been hopping around the U.S. visiting different cities. You just got off the bus in Buffalo.
Sure.
You asked the burning question on your man, sir, where can I find some jazz? You know where you're headed. You're headed to the Colored Musicians Club. But what are you going to do? It's only 11 a.m. The jam doesn't start till 2 p.m. Well, you're going to go grab my album called New York Sticky, and you're going to listen to it 3 times because it's like an hour long. It's going to carry you through. It's going to give you some great musical ideas, too. It's kind of like an extended jam session, if you think about it, Jim, when you really think about it. So go grab my album. It's available at brooklynfrequency.bandcamp.com. It's an instrumental album. It's pretty cool. I got to figure out when the anniversary of that album is. That's probably also coming up on 2 years this summer. So go check that sucker out. Also check out our documentary. It's a behind the scenes look at the making of Jim's album. It's called Understanding Upstate. Don't get confused. It's the same name as this podcast, but it's also as great as this podcast. So go check it out.
That's right.
It's a quick little 30-minute watch. Link in the description. Jim, what?
Yes.
Do we have a hint? Are we doing a hint for next week, or are we gonna?
I was gonna say, I don't know. I feel like That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's give them. I'll just tell them.
All
Fuck
right.
it. Yeah. So in our month-long music journey,
Which that's breaking news. I don't think we've talked about it. We're talking about music all month. We did kazoos.
Yeah.
We came in. We came in hot. Came in hot with kazoos. Today, obviously, we talked about the Colored Musicians Club. We've got 2 more music episodes for you for the month of April. As long as there's only 4 Fridays. If there's 5, we got to come up with a 5th. But I think there's only 4.
Think we're good. We have so we're heading back to the good old 607, the 60 lucky, as the music industry calls it. Round that way, we're sitting down with Blizz the Illest. Really dope rapper out of Binghamton. He's going to be opening for Mastakilla this month. Very pumped to chop it up with him. So that is what we have in store. We're going to talk all about his experience in the music game and what the Binghamton music scene is all about.
Oh, yeah.
So get ready for that.
And go check out his music. It's I've been listening to it like all last week. It's great. It's
he's
great
dope,
shit.
man. He's a talented dude.
But go check it out so you can put a voice to the music. I don't know. I was about to say a face, but this is a audio medium. But yeah, go check it out in advance of that episode. It's gonna be great.
Yes, please do so.
Jim, I think that's all of our business to round things out here. We just gotta close this sucker out with a little up pun. Are you ready?
I think so. I think I am.
Well, that's good, because I got to go tune up my guitar so I can get to this jazz jam, baby. Let's get out of here.
Oh, man. Understanding Upstate is a podcast hosted by Jim Search and Rob Adler, edited by Rob Adler, and music from Regal Monk.